All right, so the radar picture's been really active for the past little while. We've had a tornado watch for the western half of the area, severe thunderstorm watch for the eastern half of the area. But right now, the latest issuance is going to be for right here near Wassissa, where we see some of this red and some of this green together. That's what we're looking at here when we show you these storm relative velocities. That's wind moving towards and winds moving away from an area. And what we're seeing here is one of those instances where the radar is picking up some possible rotation just north of Wassissa right now. So that's going to be the area that we're most concerned with for at least the next 10 or 15 minutes as this works its way from west to east and it makes its way through more of southern Jefferson County. So you can see where this red polygon is right here, south of I-10. That's where the current tornado warning is for some radar indicated rotation. Also understand the tornado watch is west of there. The severe thunderstorm warning watch is east of there. But these spin-up tornadoes or these radar indicated rotations, they can happen whether you have a watch where you are or where you don't, and that's all kind of just semantics. But the bottom line is it's a dangerous situation south of I-10 in Jefferson County, just around Wassissa. Now in South Georgia, it's just a bunch of rain coming down. We can see, and we've been talking about some of these areas in eastern parts of Leon County moving into Jefferson County where there's going to be some of those strong wind gusts and where there's going to be all that lightning. So that's going to be the area that we're most concerned with now, south of Monticello, south of I-10, maybe right near Highway 19. Leaving Leon County, leaving Wakulla County into Jefferson, that's where we've been watching this one little jolt of rain with some heavy downpours and some of that frequent lightning. And now the radar is picking up some of that rotation. So that's going to be the area that if you are in or near, you want to make sure that you're awake and you're ready and you're away from those exterior windows, walls, doors. If you're in a mobile home, you want to make sure you can get to that mobile home shelter or just stay someplace safe. And it's certainly not the time to be on the roads. Anywhere near Wassissa right now, south of I-10 in Jefferson County, especially maybe just south of Highway 19. That's the area that we're most concerned with currently. I've been watching some of these cells down towards the coast of Wakulla and Franklin that's had a lot of lightning as well and the potential for some of those strong wind gusts. So there are going to be several areas that we just keep our eyes on as we go through the morning. And this is going to be moving fairly quickly. This all should continue to fizzle as it moves east. But there are enough ingredients in play right now where we could see more of these strong wind gusts, these frequent lightning blasts, and some of the heavy downpours. And that potential for some of those rotating individual cells, like the one that we're seeing here south of I-10 in Jefferson County, it's a reality. So we're going to be watching this very carefully, and we're going to be watching areas maybe along I-10 as you get out of Jefferson County into Madison County, because that seems to be where that is moving. I'm going to go over to the computer here and see if I can dial up a couple more things while we keep talking, and we're going to continue to watch what's going on in this area. And that lightning, very, very, very frequent here, and there's quite a bit of it. So right just south of Monticello, near Wassissa, this is going to be the area, at least right now, that we have our primary concern, and that's going to take maybe like just north of Lamont, near Highway 158 or Highway 259, not too far from Greenville. So areas into Madison County, maybe along Highway 221 north of Shady Grove over the next 15 or 20 minutes. These are going to be the spots that we're watching real carefully, because that's where the potential is for this radar indicated rotation. And when we say radar indicated rotation, by the way, what that means is the radar, it's looking for certain signatures. One of the certain signatures that it's looking for will be those winds moving towards and away from one spot. And when it sees that and it reaches a threshold, it prompts the warning. That doesn't mean there's actually a tornado in that area, but it means there's the likelihood that there could be something rotating in that area, and that's really dangerous, and that's when we want to make sure we issue those warnings to make as many people safe as we possibly can. Now, I want to point out this is the only area right now that has any rotation. It's the only rotation I've seen for the past several hours. Doesn't mean there can't be more, there won't be more. It doesn't mean that we're not going to find some other areas where there are some dangerous individual cells as this line of showers makes its way from west to east across the area. That's all a real possibility. So we've got things that we'll be watching, especially for parts of Jefferson County, south of I-10 right now, and then moving maybe into parts of Madison County along and south of I-10, so not too far from Greenville, not too far from Lamont. These are the spots where this one cell is. Up and down that line of showers and storms, and that's going to include spots in Wakulla County and coastal Franklin. It's going to include areas all the way up to Adel. This line of showers itself has the potential for some dangerous individual cells. And that's what happens. You think of a big line of storms and it's all one big storm, but it's actually not. It's a whole bunch of smaller individual cells that are all kind of traveling together like a school of fish. It's not one big fish, it's a whole bunch of them that all go as a big mass. When you get a line of storms like this, it's a bunch of individual cells, and each one of those has its own individual characteristics. Some of those could bring some really dangerous things, more than just some of those wind gusts, which are going to be our primary concerns. But if a radar indicates some sort of rotation, then right away we're going to make sure we issue that warning and try to keep as many people as we can safe. This is that area here. I've got it circled in yellow. And you see we have a little bit of red here and a little bit of green here. What we're looking for on a map like this is going to be those bright reds and bright greens real close together, because that's going to indicate winds moving in two directions away from each other and towards each other in the same spot. And that's one of those really easy spots to see where there's the potential for some of that rotation. That's what the radar picks up. That's what triggers that warning. That's why we broadcast it to you. And when we take a look at some of those numbers and we start to see things like minus 18 in the velocity here and plus 23 there, that gives us enough of a range that some of the numbers start to back up what the radar is seeing. So we start to factor all that in. That's where the warning comes from. There are other warnings we've been looking at throughout the morning. The severe thunderstorm warnings have been sort of just getting extended east and east and east as this line of showers has been moving in our direction. And that's got a lot to do with the fact that those wind gusts can frequently get up to 30 or 40 miles per hour, and that's enough to trigger those type warnings. So severe thunderstorm warnings are its own entity and its own beast, and those can be dangerous, those can cause damage, those can cause power outages. But you take it to the next level when you start to see that rotation, because that can be even more dangerous. And that's why right now, for central parts of Jefferson County, mostly just south of Monticello, just south of I-10, near Wassissa, near Lamont, heading towards Greenville in Madison County, this is going to be the area that we're watching with the most care. Now, there's going to be other areas where there's the potential for some other storms. A lot of what I've been seeing in South Georgia has been getting a little bit weaker as it moves east. We still have some decent pockets in Brooks County north of Quitman. We've got a decent little line of showers right around Adel right now, but it's not as nearly the same kind of intensity as what we're seeing south of Monticello, north of Wassissa, with this little pocket right here moving across Highway 19 and just south of I-10. As that continues to move that way through parts of central Jefferson County, we're going to watch that carefully. I see this other little batch of lightning and some of these deeper reds on the radar here just to the south and west, and that's all coming from that same area that maybe about 45 minutes ago we started watching in parts of Franklin and Wakulla County, because it was more than just some wind and some rain and some lightning. So this has been sort of one of those little areas where that source has been just enough to start triggering some bigger storms. So we'll continue to monitor this as it works its way from west to east, and that means more areas into parts of Madison County and maybe right along I-10 could be an area where these cells are headed towards. Now, back a little farther west, when you get into parts of Leon County into more of Wakulla County, especially over towards the Highway 319 corridor, where it rained really hard a little about a half hour ago or 45 minutes ago. Now we're noticing those rains moderate a lot and start to weaken, and that should continue. And if we head a little further south, I still see a lot lining up into the Gulf. What typically happens with a setup like this is, while there may be more stable air in some eastern areas as the system kind of loses its steam and runs into that stable air, the farther south you go, closer to the Gulf Coast and closer to the water, what you end up having is a little bit more of that instability just lingering. And that's why we typically sometimes see some of those more dangerous cells develop in those areas. So yeah, we'll continue to watch all of this and continue to watch what's been going on. This individual cell right here, the one that we're talking about with the possible rotation, that is supposed to continue till 6 a.m. and then we'll see if it has to get extended east from there. For the time being, what we're looking at for most of the area is that main line making its progress across the region. And by 7:30, I think a lot of us are going to be done with the rain chances. It may take a little longer to the east for the rains to even get there, but once they do get there, it's that initial jolt where we have the strongest and most dangerous weather. Once that passes by, now things get weaker and weaker, and we'll also notice those winds start to shift. A lot of the winds that we've been seeing out ahead of that line are from the south. What we have behind it is from the north and northwest. And I think what I just see right here is now that that red polygon is gone. So it looks like the National Weather Service allowing that warning to expire. Let me take a look here at a couple other things, and if that's the case, then we can drop out of this kind of coverage and go back to our regular newscast. But for the time being, yeah, it looks like that warning is no longer going to be the issue. We'll go back to those velocity products. And I still see some green, I still see some red, but I don't see the same kind of concentration as we were looking at before. So, if indeed that warning is no longer a warning, and it looks like it's not, now we can kind of wind it down and just recap what we're looking at for the next little while. So here on the Watches, Warnings, and Advisory map, we still have this severe thunderstorm watch for the eastern half of the area. That's Jefferson County, Thomas County east. That doesn't mean we can't get an individual cell that spins up a tornado in these areas, or at least some kind of rotating indication on the radar, which is what we saw in Jefferson County just a little while ago. That has since expired. Doesn't mean there can't be any more. To the west, we have until 7 o'clock this tornado watch. So the conditions are still there. I suspect they're going to start peeling this back very, very soon. And as that's the case, we'll start to see this go away as well. So we'll be watching more eastern areas as the line of storms itself moves a little bit more to the east. Hopefully it'll continue to weaken like it's been weakening in parts of South Georgia. But for sure, from Monticello through Wassissa and down towards the coast in extreme eastern parts of Wakulla County, this is going to be the spot that I'll be watching the most carefully for the next hour or so, and we'll see how this all holds together. But for the time being, the most recent tornado warning now expired. That's great news. We'll continue to monitor for some of those strong wind gusts and some more dangerous downpours and that frequent lightning. But we'll get back to all that as we go through the morning. For the time being, the immediate danger in Jefferson County is a lot smaller. It's not gone because we still have the dangerous wind gusts, the lightning, and the rain. But that tornado warning that was indicated by the radar, that has since expired. All right, I'm going to catch my breath. We're going to take a commercial. We'll come back and do more news right after this.